Hi, I'm Olivia Wayne and welcome to Live in the Moment. This is a series dedicated to living life to the fullest. That's not always easy, especially after the year 2020 threw up. But there's always something we can do or something we can try to shift our mindset, outlook and approach to help remember that life is good and living it to the fullest is something within our control. I've invited a number of brilliant, motivated, inspiring people to try to ascertain and learn what they do to keep themselves happy, positive, and living in the moment. Today, I have the complete pleasure of talking to Hannah Frankson. Now, if you're not into the incredible near enough fitness cult that is Peloton, you sure will be after hearing Hannah. Peloton is a spin bike with a screen that you use for indoor cycling in your own home. Pre-2020, it was insanely popular. Once COVID hit, the firm's global membership base more than doubled to over 3 million subscribers. Its instructors are so much more than fitness trainers. They are gurus, mentors, and life coaches rolled into some seriously impressive merchandise. And Hannah is one of them. She is an insanely motivating cycling instructor and teaches from Peloton's London studio. Prior to Peloton, Hannah was a former competitive triple jumper. She trained alongside Olympic level athletes for 7 years. She played volleyball for England at one point, is clearly inherently sporty, and has now managed to combine her passion for fitness with music and making exercise fun. Hannah is also an experienced personal trainer and fitness model and has worked on campaigns for brands such as Nike, Adidas, and New Balance. Her energy on the bike and her whole vibe and approach to her rides give another persona, and on Instagram she really makes me wish I was her real life friend. Hannah's charm, likability and personality shine through when she teaches her Peloton classes, and she is as inspiring, motivating and seemingly positive as she is brutal on the bike. I can't wait to find out just how she does it. Hannah, thank you so much for coming on Live in the Moment.
Sorry. I think I'm going to cry just because of that intro, babe. Oh my goodness, thank you.
But it's important to do you justice, you know? You,
thank you.
I don't know you, but I feel I know you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, babe. Yeah, I'm good. Really good.
I said all that, but I mean all that. I think your vibe, and look, I know it's your work, but your Instagram isn't your work, that's you. But you seemingly are the same, and you seem to have a really great outlook on life. Would you say that's fair enough? You are that person?
I try my 100. I try so hard to make that the truth, but I also try to make sure that I'm real as well. So I don't want everyone to think that I'm always smiley, happy. But I think sometimes it's about not so much letting people know when you're going through a really rubbish time, but sometimes how you're getting out of it or what you're doing to scoop yourself up and out of it. I would never just say to people, guys, I'm feeling really rubbish today, just so that you all know. I always want to tell people how I'm getting out of it, like how I'm trying to spin it around and how I'm trying to make it better for myself. Because I feel like if I feel like it, there must be other people that feel the same way.
Absolutely. But that's also really important. So you actually live your life by realizing there's something we can do. There's something I can do to shift this headspace I'm in.
100%.
So you were a competitive athlete, and like at a really high level, you tried out for the Olympic London Games in 2012.
Yeah.
You didn't make it.
I didn't make it.
That's hard.
I find it so hilarious because, like, when you even when you compete, the second you say to someone, I do athletics, or like when I was obviously doing it, you'd say to someone, like, what would you do? I do athletics. I triple jump. Oh my gosh, are you going to the Olympics? And you're like, yeah, I mean, I want to. Like, yeah, I'm gonna try my best. So then when you tell people you were an athlete, they're like, did you go to the Olympics? And you're like, no. But it's still like, even when I look back, I'm like, it's still everything I did. Like, no one can tell me. When I stopped, that was what made me stop, to be honest, was like, why am I trying so hard to please everyone else? Like, who am I trying to prove to that I was an athlete? Like, when I was really young, one of the things I really wanted to be an athlete. And I thought about myself as a little person, And I was like, do you think everything I would have done, would I have been proud of it? Like, would 7 or 8-year-old me have been proud that from the age of about 18 to 26, 27, like I dedicated like everything to athletics. I trained so hard. Like, would I have been proud of myself? And I was like, I think I would have been really proud of everything that I achieved. So I didn't go to the Olympics, but I still did so much, and I'm still mad proud of everything I did in athletics.
As you should be. I mean, hello, you're
Thanks,
still like a professional
babe.
athlete. I mean, let's not. And also, like, so what I want to know is, I guess, that initial, like, not making it, you know, the perception of not making it. You did make it for yourself, and as long as you're happy, really, who cares? But how was that a negative time in your life when you made the decision to stop, or did you make it a positive? And if it was negative, how did you flip it for yourself to see it as a good thing and a fresh start or whatever?
Yeah, I think that's one thing, that when you do something, thing about sport, a lot of sports, they really do have a time span. You kind of have to have two lives. Like no one can do that sort of, especially triple jump. You can't do it forever. So it always has a time span. It's almost, to me, it felt like I've got two books. I've got like two, it's not even chapters. To me, the book of athletics is completely different to the book that I'm living now. It's a different book. And to get used to stepping out of that world, it takes a lot. And I don't think a lot of people are up for chatting about that so much. I don't think it's spoken about a lot. But one thing that I made sure I did is that I had my feet, do you know when people say when one door closes, another one opens? I didn't, there was no closed door. There was a door that was ajar. So I was already ready to kind of step out of athletics and step into something else. So for me, finishing just felt like a natural progression into something else. It didn't feel like a dead stop. It didn't feel like, right, that's it, I'm done, I'm out, I'm moving on. I started working, started interning at Puma, and when I was there, I kind of realized that I don't really, if I wanted to keep jumping, I wouldn't have taken the job. So to me, it was like an internal sign that I was done. So slowly, I just kind of stopped training, and it made me sit and think, do I actually want to do it anymore? And it's like I just said, like I think I realized, who am I trying to prove? Like who am I trying to prove to that I've achieved stuff? Like I know what I did, and I don't need any validation from anyone else to say that I was an athlete. I've got this absolutely amazing opportunity right here, right now, and I'm absolutely loving it. It's completely different to athletics. This is it. Like, this is what I want to do now. I don't want to be at the track anymore. So it felt quite, for me, it felt quite natural, but I almost gave myself that little in. Like, I left a little door. There was a door like saying, hey, what's going on? Come in here.
But you were open to seeing that crack in the door. You know, you weren't like, I imagine when you're training, like it's all training. You're not supposed to like pop out. You've got to stick to your food, your routine, your schedule. But by that point, you're like, maybe I'll just go out tonight and meet this person or whatever.
Exactly.
So
100%.
that's really interesting. So the whole point of this podcast, show, series, whatever, is that I ask my guests 3 things that they do to remind them and keep them positive and happy, and what things they do to kind of switch the headspace if it's in a negative place. And one of the things you said is people. When you were competing, were the people around you very important, and how did they inform, keep you motivated if you got a bad jump? You didn't make it to the next round, you didn't get a medal, you didn't get a PB, whatever. How did they support your journey, and how did they keep you focused and happy and positive?
So I used to have towards the end of when I was doing athletics, I had a psychologist, and I really wish I remember what it was called, but he's told me this idea of like, when people go into space, they have they design, do you know what, I hope this is true what I'm about to say. He said
no one knows otherwise. It is.
He said it's an idea where they design everything around the astronaut. So everyone is working to make that one person's job as easy as possible. And so it's not even just about, even though it's you that's doing it, it's never just about you. Like, I'm representing so many people. Like my coach, he worked so hard, and he didn't even get like, coaches never get any of the glory. Do you know what I mean? It's always the athlete, but my coach, every time we were in the freezing cold training, he was standing still. Do you know what I mean? At least we were moving. He's got to stand and watch us in the freezing cold. So like, knowing that you're representing someone else, that's important. The team that I worked with, so like some of my training partners were massively inspiring. So I trained with Trisha Smith. She's a Jamaican triple jumper. She was a world champion. And also Yamile Aldama. She used to jump for Cuba, but now she jumps for Great Britain. She won the world indoors as well. And like, even just to jump alongside those people, like, it wasn't like I wasn't around people that didn't make it. I was like, if they can do it, they are right there. Like, I can see you, I can touch. Do you know what I mean? I can reach out, and we're in the same environment. If you can do it, why on earth can I not? I'm doing exactly the same as you right now. So yeah, your teammates, to know that someone else has done it, and that was always massively inspiring to me.
So even though your sport was a single individual event, it was very much a team situation for you, because people 100%. Are important.
Yeah, and like even now, like watching my teammates, like obviously some of them are still jumping. When I watch them jump, it feels like I'm still there. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, oh my God, like if I see them on TV, I'll still feel connected to them in some way.
That's great. Yeah. Okay, so, and your new job, hello, Peloton instructor, that's quite it's like a dream gig, I imagine, for someone who loves fitness and, you know, indoor cycling and is into that type of thing. There's kind of no greater platform. I mean, you know,
yes,
you're out there for sure. How did you go about getting that? Because it's just phenomenal.
Wow. Well. Oh, well. That's my favorite meme. The lady that's like, well, next question. Bye. I love a meme. She's my favorite. But oh man, it was a long process, and to be honest, I would say it probably started when I first started spinning without even realizing, because it all counts. It all counted towards the end. I was teaching at Boom Cycle, which is a boutique studio, and I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea that anyone was watching me or anyone was interested in what I was doing. I was just really happy, like selling out my classes, having a really good time in a dark room, turning the music up loud and just living my best life, really. I got a little cheeky message I got a DM slide from who is now my executive producer, Anthony Lucan. And he said, hey, we want to have a little chat about Peloton. If you're interested, would you like to have a coffee and have a chat about Peloton? This is like,
had you heard of Peloton?
This is the thing, it's coming up to almost 2 years ago now. So this is when Ben and Leanne were the first two instructors. I had a really small conversation with Cody, who is one of the senior instructors, when he came round to look for Ben and Leanne. Even the moment when I spoke to him, I would 100% say that I was not ready. I was not confident in myself. Like, it was like, I can't believe, like, I don't know what this is. I was not in a good place to kind of be picked at that time. When I spoke to Anthony the second time around, though, I felt like, yo, I could do this. I think I could do this, you know. So like,
of course you can. You really can do it, by the
way. The conversation turned into an audition. We have a screen test first. You make sure that, like, on the camera, like, honestly, that's scary, because that's where you just got me to talk about what's your favorite, cats or dogs? How do you make a cup of tea, to the camera? And you're like, is this a trick question? Are you trying to catch me out? Or like, that was the scariest one. Then we did an audition, then another audition. Then I spoke to Cody, who's the senior instructor, who I'd obviously spoke to a year before. Then I spoke to Robin, another instructor. Then I spoke to William, one of the CEOs. Honestly, all this time, I'm like, this is over a long space of time as well. This is over about 6-7 months. So every stage you get to, it was just getting more and more real and more nerve-wracking and more serious. But so yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it was quite a scary process, but we made it.
Yes, you did. You really made it.
Made it.
And I guess, was that, so pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone though, because I guess auditions and things wasn't really something, I mean, I guess you've done a little bit of media stuff as a triple jumper, but this kind of on camera, you know, this whole persona, did it feel something you, I don't even know what I'm trying to ask you, which is a shame.
I feel like I know what you, but do you know what? This is the thing, because when I say like I was really shocked to get it, when I got it, like I think it was when I had my interview with Robin, I got to a stage and I was like, I feel like I can do this. I actually started to believe in myself, like I feel like I never had before. I think it was getting so far, and then when I spoke to Robin, I was like, I think I can do this. Like, if you don't pick me, I don't know who. You've got to pick someone, and it can be me. It might as well be me. Like, it should be me. I really believe that I want it to be me. And I think the reason I felt that is because I'd had a really odd year. The year before that, I was I was engaged. I thought I was going to get married. I can laugh about it now.
Hello, this is very interesting. Go on. What happened?
It's hilarious now, because it's so like far from where I am right now. But I thought I was engaged. I had a flat with someone, and then that just basically all fell apart. But in it falling apart, I was living in my cousin's spare room. I was like, how am I going to get out of this? Because this isn't obviously where I want to be. Going into my 30s, I want to be. Do you know what I mean? That's not where I sort of envisioned I would be. But I think that made me really sit down and think about, what do I care about? Who am I? Like, what do I want to do? What do I appreciate? What makes me tick? And all these things that I guess I hadn't really thought about before. I guess I kind of got caught up in other people's perceptions of where you should be in life and how things should be. It was a lot of should-haves. I should be doing this. This should be happening. That I took the time and thought, right, who am I? What do I want to do? What do I like doing? And spin and being in that dark room, I just became more of myself. Like, I really feel like I found myself in those dark rooms when I was teaching. And I think being an instructor at Peloton, I think that's something that you really have to know, is like who you are more than anything. You really got to know who you are, because it will unravel if you don't know, if you've got no conviction.
That is the difference, I think, with a Peloton instructor. That's why I said in the beginning, like, you're more than spin instructors. It feels like the phrases you all kind of have, your own kind of mannerisms and phrases, they really hammer home, and it's a bit like therapy or a life coach too. And what you've really just articulated is that you did that soul searching for yourself, like, which are the questions we should all be asking ourselves all the time. Like, who am I? What do I like? What do I want to do? And then you made the change, and the universe, or if you believe in all that, kind of heard you, and like all arrived, which is just an amazing thing. Like, that in itself should be inspiring for people to think it's okay. Like, you would probably never have thought of Peloton when you stopped doing triple jump. Like, that was not your next step, but
it wasn't even my next step when I spoke to Cody. It wasn't even when I spoke to Cody, I didn't believe in myself at all. I didn't think it should have been me. So, like, obviously I'm not surprised that I didn't get it wasn't me the first time round. Like, I really wasn't ready.
So you mentioned that you were engaged and you had a flat with him. I assume it was him. And then that broke down, right? Yeah. That's pretty hard. Like, come on, you think you're on this track about to be married or wife, and suddenly that ends for whatever reason. How were you in that moment, in that period? Like, what was your mental state?
Do you really
I really want to know.
Oh, babe. Oh, my days. I was like really not a nice person. I was the most hot-headed. I was so hot-headed. Like, it's like I was almost ready for a fight, like 24/7. I was so like, and then I think the weirdest.
Who did you take that out on?
Oh, everyone, every single, anyone that would let me, I would go for you. I used to work at a gym, and we were all quite close. I remember I went in at some people that I used to work with, and none of them wanted to. All of them wanted me to do work. Like, they were all lovely people, but I just all of a sudden I got really defensive, and I was like, no one here likes me. But what all it was I didn't like myself. I just thought that I'd started to lose love for myself. I was just like, I don't like. I actually just would say that I didn't like myself. I was like, I don't understand why I'm here. I don't know who I am anymore now that I'm not now that this idea is gone. I don't know who I'm supposed to be.
So
And
what did you do?
oh mate, um I used to work at a gym, and we were all quite close. I remember I went in at some people that I used to work with, and none of them wanted to. All of them wanted me to do work. Like, they were all lovely people, but I just all of a sudden I got really defensive, and I was like, no one here likes me. But what all it was I didn't like myself. I just thought that I'd started to lose love for myself. I was just like, I don't like. I actually just would say that I didn't like myself. I was like, I don't understand why I'm here. I don't know who I am anymore now that I'm not now that this idea is gone. I don't know who I'm supposed to be.
So
And
what did you do?
oh mate, spin was like teaching. Spin was one of the only places that I felt like the time started, the ride started. It'll be 45 minutes. I think what happened is I sort of started to like project what I wanted myself to believe. I started to say it out loud in rides. So I'd be like, don't let anyone stop you from believing in who you are. You are so amazing. Guys, if you leave this room knowing one thing, let it be that you are absolutely amazing. No one can take your shine. Like, even if that light isn't shining as brightly, it's still there. And these are things that I basically was just talking to myself.
Wow, but
But I
that is
was saying
amazing.
it in a room of people.
Tell me you at least cried. Did you cry a lot in those rides in that dark room? Did you
Okay,
release?
right. There was always one track where we'd have all the lights off. There were songs where I shed a little tear. But it was always because one thing I always did, even when I was going through that horrible time, is I forced myself to write down things that I was grateful for. So I would always be focusing on the good things. And I remember I went to go and see Hamilton, and there's the song, and she says, "Look around at how lucky we are to be alive right now." And Alicia Keys did a remix of it, and for a while that was my like song when the lights were down, and it used to make me cry because I was just like, I felt so lucky that even though I had been in such an awful situation, I've obviously got a family who are so supportive. Like, my cousin was just like, come and live with me. Like, having that was amazing. Like the spin studio, everyone that I worked with, I loved them. They just felt so supportive. Everyone in the room when I used to teach, they felt so supportive. Like, I just felt like I was so lucky to still have so much, even though if I'd have looked at it another way, I could say that I didn't have much, but I felt like I had loads if I looked at it in the right perspective.
That is exactly the headset people need, to be honest, isn't it? It's not what you don't have, it's what you do have, and there's always stuff you have. There's always good. Yeah. However much, however big, it's there. Just look for it and remind yourself.
100%.
You've had some incredible experiences in your life, really. If we think about your training, you've probably traveled the world from your competing. You were in a movie. You're now like a Peloton instructor, like being streamed across the world. And I don't know if that, I mean, obviously 2020 hasn't helped, but I don't know if that's kind of led you to brilliant things. But you said experiences is one of the things that reminded you to kind of live life and live in the moment. What do you mean by that?
I think I always think of where I've been. So I always think of the things that I've been to bring me to this moment, and then also the things that are going to happen in the future to kind of make me feel settled in the present. Do you know what I mean? I know that we should always be in the present, but sometimes it's only from it's always perspective, isn't it? So it's really hard. Do you know, everyone just says be present, and it's like, well, we've got this thing in our brains that will always protect. If things have happened in the past, they will be in your present. They will be right there, and they will affect what you do in your future. So I always try to draw from my experiences, obviously in the most positive way I can, to settle me in my present. Do you know what I mean? Like, just have a little conversation with
Can you give
myself
me an
constantly.
example? So give me an example, if you can, of like an experience that you flip it to make it positive. Like, for example,
So,
you posted recently about loneliness. With that, could you kind of draw on that whole loneliness headspace and
yeah, like,
experiences with that?
so like, I think obviously, it's always that thing in it at the moment where, because we're doing less, we're on. I feel like everyone is on their phones a little bit more. We are. I felt like that's one of the. I always want to concentrate on what I had. I felt myself looking at all the things that I didn't have. I was like, oh, I'm 30. Oh my gosh, I'm 32 next month.
You're young.
A lot of my friends are okay. Thanks, babe.
You're good.
a lot of my friends are, a lot of my friends getting married. They're getting engaged. They're having babies. They're moving in with each other. And I got into this little space where I was like, well, I'm doing none of those things. That I'm not doing any of those things. And I think I kind of had to pull myself. I was like, right, I've done this before. I'm feeling away. How did I get out of feeling away before? I always like to write things down. I always process by writing things down.
Yeah, that's your thing.
Yeah, that's what I like. I've got Muji. Me and Muji. Oh man.
Oh, those gel pens in Muji. Oh,
It's the dotted paper for me. It's not the lines. It's just the paper with all the dots on it. It's
and
the
you connect your own dots by that. It makes so much sense.
It's the dotted paper for me. But yeah, it's just that thinking about where I want to be and where I've been and why I'm at where I'm at now. And I feel like it's easier to say it to other people sometimes, like, oh, everything happens for a reason, babe. And it's like, well, actually believe that. Like, so don't get caught up in what you have. That it's kind of still the same thing. Don't get caught up in what you haven't got. Make sure you focus on what you have got. Like, some of the things that you've got are drawn from what you've done in your past, and they will be because of what you're going to do in the future. So gel it all together, put it into some sort of perspective. So yeah, with the whole loneliness thing, that's a thing, isn't it? I feel like people don't talk about loneliness. It's really taboo, and it's sort of like shame. It's a lot of shame around it, and I'm not really, especially after what happened to me, I'm not bothered with that kind of stuff at all. Like, I don't mind putting myself out there and being like, I felt really lonely, and I was like, what is this feeling? It felt like it was borderline. I thought, am I depressed? Is this what it feels like to be depressed? Because I know that there's so many good things that I've got, but I just don't feel like they're good anymore. Like, I can't see the good in them. And I sat down, did a little bit of like soul searching. And was like, I think I'm just a bit lonely. But like, babe, I think you're just a little bit lonely. Like, it's getting to you. Like, obviously, I'm scrolling through Hinge. I'm scrolling through Instagram. I'm looking at flats on my own again. And it's like, it's okay. It's okay to be lonely. The second I acknowledged it and realized that it was loneliness, I felt tons better.
So what did you do? What did you do then once you figured out what it was? How did you kind of try and help yourself in that?
I changed my internal chat a little bit. I think I got into this thing at night, especially at night. I got into this, oh, you're on your own. There's no one here with you. You're all on your own. It's like, I'm fine. Like, I get to spread out in this bed. I get to put my arms on both sides. Like, I get to turn up my music as loud as I want to until I go to sleep. Like, just look at the good things. I just got so caught up in looking at all the bad things about being on your own. And like, loneliness, while we're on it, like, there's loads of different ways you can feel lonely. Do you know what I mean? It could be that you feel like you haven't got a community. It can be that you feel like you haven't got like a partner or someone to be like emotional with, or it can be like socially. So for me, it was a little bit of the emotional one. I didn't feel like I had one person, but I was like, babe, you are part of a ridiculously amazing community. Peloton is amazing.
100%.
I love them. Like, everyone that rides with me, I can't like it. They're amazing. I love them so much. So I was like, why am I forgetting that?
You're like right in it.
What was that?
You're right in it as well. you're right in it as well. You're not even just like me. You are the community. You set the community.
It's nuts. Because I don't feel like I do, because they do everyone that's in it, they do so much around it that sometimes I'm like, this fully does not work without everyone else. This doesn't work without the without the riders, without the members that connect and do all that stuff themselves. They do so much. So yeah, like, it's your community, and then it's your friends. I've got great friends. I've got a great community. There's just one thing, like, don't get caught up on the one thing you haven't got, because you've got so much already. So it's just switching my brain around a little bit.
It's great advice, Hannah. It's great advice. I think we should all be
Don't
doing.
get me wrong, I'm still on Hinge though. Like, I'm still out here on Hinge.
You're not allowed to get the next thing, the thing. That's okay. We don't have to not ever have it. But
think about the future, aren't I? Like, I'm still there.
I'd imagine like people who like ride or whatever, like trying to get into your DMs all the time. I know I did, but you know what I mean? I imagine you're being contacted a lot.
No, everyone's so lovely. Everyone just says really nice things. They just want to make me cry all the time, to be honest. I feel like everyone just wants to make me emotional. Everyone's like, I love your ride so much. I feel like we're friends. I've never met you, but I feel like we could be best friends. And I always be like, I bet we could, babe. Like, I bet we could.
That's me. That's what I said. I'm just so cliche. I'm like everyone else. That's exactly how I feel. But actually, my friend Sophie, I even said I'd give her a shout out, introduced me, because when I joined, Peloton app or whatever, I didn't know, like, she was like, these are the instructors I like, so, and she was like, Hannah, you've got to talk to Hannah. Like, when I was doing this podcast, she was like, she'd be amazing. And I was like, that's such a great shout, like, it's true. So you do definitely come across amazingly well. Now, let's talk cake, because that is your third thing that you said kind of makes you live in the moment. Not normally something we'd associate with a fitness and health professional and, a Peloton instructor, but tell me about cake.
Right, okay. So I live near a cake and custard shop, right? And it's really close to me, so like, I pass it every day. And I would probably go in there every single day because I love it so much. But I always tell myself I'm going to have it once a week. Not because I'm restrictive, like, not because if I see a cake somewhere else, I'll probably eat that cake. But it's just the cake and custard that has become like this ritual that I do on a Sunday. And it's almost become like a meditation. So I don't watch, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, because no one knows this. They just know that I post a picture of my cake every week. But I turn everything, like, I'll just listen to music. I don't look at my phone when I eat my cake. It's just me and my cake. It's a little bit like a meditation every week, and I just really, really, really enjoy it. I just allow myself.
What is the cake?
Right. So the girls in the it's like, do you know the cake you used to get at school? It's just like a sponge cake, and it's got like hundreds and thousands on it.
Yum.
It's just a simple cake.
Gosh,
so yeah. The girls try and get me to deviate from the one that I get every week, and I'm like, oh, babe, I don't know. Like, it's just become like a little habit now as well. Like, I don't think I could do any other cake. It's got to be this one. It's got to be the same one. But it's not so much the eating. It's just the sitting down and really. I can't believe I'm saying this.
I love this. No, but we do have food rituals. Food's important. It's nourishment. Like, it's we don't eat grey blocks of matter. It counts. So you might as well enjoy it and be mindfully doing it,
I think that's what it is with the cake. I think it's become almost like mindful. Like, it's very I take my time with it. I just listen to music. I just really enjoy myself. I don't rush it. It's not. I don't watch
it, which is obviously essential.
I'm not watching TV. I'm just eating the slice of cake on my own, and I pass it, and I'm like, "Yo, babe, I'll see you on Sunday." Do you know what I mean? Like, on Sunday we'll have what we have. We'll have that special moment. But until Sunday, like, you can just stay there.
This is such gold, honestly. But you think, haha, it's just cake, or maybe you don't. But I hear, like, wow. You are present in that moment, being mindful, enjoying it, savoring it. Like, giving it like the time that you want it to have. Like it sounds like self-care, to be honest. Like that's literally your version of self-care. Sounds
It's definitely
great.
my version of self-care.
It sounds like a great excuse for me to
Definitely.
get
Yeah, you should
on
get
it.
on it. It's really
It's
good.
brilliant. Whereas I'm like
It's been
sneaky, like
happening.
quick, gobble it in before someone else takes my cake. No way. I have little hands that want to pinch my things. Not sharing.
Oh, okay.
So, so experiences, cake, people, they're all quite an integral part to your kind of support of keeping present and positive and striving forward if life takes a kind of deviation in the road. Is there anything else you do? Does your kind of actual working out, the release of endorphins, still mean a lot to you, or is that now in the work zone?
That to me right now connects with sort of not all three of them, not really the cake, but it all. So like for me, I can't imagine my life without fitness. That's my past. That's like ingrained in me. That's almost like, obviously it's become for me it's habitual. So do you know, like when people say set an intention, why do you exercise? Like for me, I can't imagine not doing it. So I also obviously, like again, it's experience. Like I think about my future, and I think exercise is part of it. Obviously for me it's a lot to do with my past, but it's a lot to do with my future as well. When I was a personal trainer, I worked with a lot of women who were going like into their menopause and through the menopause, and I think as women, like we should think about that. That should be highlighted so much more. It's important to be strong for that. Like it's tough, and sometimes I want to be strong for that. I want to be strong for that moment, because it takes from the way that I've trained other women, it takes a lot out of you. Your muscle mass wants to deplete. So if you give yourself as much possible, if you set yourself up now for that moment, it kind of sets you. I'm ready for that. Do you know what I mean? I know it's miles away, but I want to be ready for my future.
Equally, I guess physical strength is mental strength. When you physically know you're strong, that really helps you mentally think, I've got this. Like, you know, they kind of inform each other there. Would you agree?
So much. I don't like fighting sports, right? And I definitely would never fight. I wouldn't ever do it. But when I'm in situations, sometimes I think I'm strong. I'm not the strongest girl in the world, but I think in my heart, like I'm strong. Like, even if it's blind belief, I'm like, oh, the only person that needs to believe it is me. So yeah, and I do get that from training. That.
I really think it does do that. Like I have 2 small children who are like require physical, you know, me carrying them both, say, but knowing I physically can do it makes me mentally know I can do it. You know, it all informs itself. And that's kind of what I feel about Peloton instructors, that they give you the mental strength as well as the physical strength. And that is something it seems that you had in you. That's probably why they picked you, Hannah, because they saw it within you before, that you could articulate it too.
You've got the mental strength to do anything on a bike. Like you've had 2 children. How many children have you got?
Yeah, two.
2 children. You can do anything on a bike. Like you could do anything you want on that bike.
So is that how you feel? Like, is that kind of the message you give out then, and feel you should, to anyone? If you can get on this bike and do this ride, you can do anything, you know?
More the opposite. Like you've done such amazing things. There is absolutely no way you can come into this and think that you can't do it. Like, do you know what you've been? Like, do you know who you are? Do you know like how amazing you've been throughout your whole life? That what you're gonna let 17 efforts on a bike beat you? Like, there's no way. There is absolutely no way that is happening. No way. Like, no, I'm not gonna allow it. No way.
And that is why we need you in our corner. Okay, so how I end these chats is I like to kind of ask my guests a phrase, a mantra, a saying that they live their lives by. Like, what is the phrase that you have that kind of reminds you, yeah, come on, you know, what is it?
It will change day to day, whatever's like in my mind. But right now, I'm loving staying in your lane. Like that to me just says it encompasses so much to me. It's mind your business. It's do what you got to do. Your timing. It's you. Like I said, and like it's not about what everyone else thinks you should be doing or the things you're supposed to be doing. Is stay in your lane. That's for you. Everyone's different. Stop trying to put your hands in someone else's pie. Eat your own. Do you know what I mean? Tell your kids, get their fingers out of your cake. It's yours.
Eat your own cake with sprinkles.
Get them their own cake.
Hannah Frankson, you are a breath of fresh air. Thank you. Honestly, that was such a brilliant chat. I'm so grateful to you. Stay in your lane is great advice we should all heed, for sure. And when your mind starts wandering, get it back in your lane. Focus on your goal. Forget everyone else.
Comparison is a big thing, and I think it takes us away from our power. And our power comes it's from us, not from it. Obviously, we've got energy, and that bounces off from other people, but their lane is their lane. You can't change what's going on in your lane. Someone else is going to do what's in theirs. You're going to do what's in yours.
Great advice. Thank you so much for joining me on Live in the Moment. I have really enjoyed chatting to you. I've learned a lot and have been truly and thoroughly inspired. So thanks, Hannah.